hundreds of these stories. So it's up to you. If you want to do it, you can do it. Some people are lucky. There are a few people I've met that have been lucky, been around for 10, 15 years and having no issues. But the grand majority have had problems.
Right, you hear a lot of times people saying don't make any major decisions for at least your first year.
Yeah.
I say your first 18 months.
Yeah.
I mean, being on the surface and renting and just going here and there is one thing, but getting deep into it can cause all kinds of problems.
Yeah, renting, it's much more practical because if ever an issue comes along, like for example, if you're driving your car and some guy plows into you or a bike hits you, you are responsible as a foreigner. And if they decide to lay charges on you, like one of my friends got charges of murder laid on him because the gentleman died during the incident, you're responsible even though he had nothing to do with it. So if you got to pack your things and leave the country before the charges are laid and so on and so forth, if you got a house, you're going to lose it because you won't be able to sell it anymore.
Yeah, that's
so if you are rent, you pack up your things and you leave because a lot of times you may have to leave in a hurry and that's the only way to have peace of mind. So it's that's my advice for people coming here. Don't invest, like Ned said, for at least 18 months. Talk to other foreigners, travel around the Philippines, see the area, and then you get a better idea of what you want to do with your money.
All right, and you're leaving very soon, right?
Yeah, a few days.
Okay, so what's the favorite memory that you're going to be taking with you?
The smiling faces is one, the people that you meet here will not be rude to you, but most of them will all greet you and you feel like you're part of the culture, even though you're not, so you don't feel like you're an alien somehow. But the biggest memory would be my wedding. I had a really good time organizing that. I never knew that weddings here were such a big business, but you can get it all done. We got all married with the reception for 50 people. We had 3 pigs. We had a couple of wedding cakes. We had the videoke afterward, the pastor, the room, everything, the wedding rings for $2,000. So there's not too many places in the world I think you can have such a wedding for such a price because here you can do it. But the funny thing is that they do the weddings here in the morning. So at 9 o'clock people gather and you start to meet and stuff and the pastor gets there around 10 and then you start to get married and the whole process goes on. And then you're finally all done by noon, where then they break out the buffet and everybody just jumps in the buffet, pigs out. You got to actually keep a couple of security guards at the door because people walking on the street will see the buffet and will want to come in and eat off your
wedding crashers.
Wedding crashers. And then, like back in North America, where I'm from, after the wedding, it's usually the party. You get into some dancing and all this. But here I was shocked because after the wedding, everybody was gone. So we were left there by ourselves and said, okay, well, it's 1:30. What do we do now?
And the pigs go pretty quick, right?
There was nothing left.
Yeah, it's like a feeding frenzy when there's pig, when there's batchoy. And finally, to wrap it up, well, actually, no, we got some more things to do. Advice to someone coming here, thinking of moving to the Philippines.
Yeah, I think it's a good idea. It's a great country to live in. You'll meet a lot of interesting characters. The foreigners that live here are quite special too. They're not just normal people. They're sort of people that they're fed up with normal life and decide to go for something a little bit more adventurous. So you'll meet a lot of very interesting people that have had traveling history and stories to tell you. We do bond quite a bit here, the foreigners, because we can't really speak the language and the culture difference and stuff makes it hard for us to be friends with Filipinos at a deeper level than we are with our foreigner friends. But this is the place where I've had the most friends in my life. I've only been here like for 18 months full time, and I must have at least 50 good friends that I can count on here. So yeah, definitely I would come here. Advice, like I said before, don't invest for a while. Take your time, and if you do invest, try to accept the fact that one day you may lose it. In that sense, if you lose it, then that's okay.
It's like going to Vegas. Don't invest more than you can afford to lose.
Yeah, that's it. So if you lose it, then it's fine,
All right, one last question for Mario. What would you have done differently, looking back over the years that you've been here?
Done differently. That's a tough question, because I think I pretty much did it right. Maybe I wouldn't have traveled back and forth to Canada the first few times because that cost a lot of money in airlines. Do your research first. I just jumped into the Philippines without actually looking into it. Funny story, because when I met my wife online before coming here, she told me she was from Mindanao. So I didn't ask any questions about it. I had no idea what Mindanao was. It was a province outside the Philippines, mostly Muslim-based and stuff. And for me, it was not an issue. But then I met a friend back in Canada and he says, "You're going to Mindanao?" Well, you may want to check online because there's travel advisories for that country. You're not supposed to go travel there because they've had a lot of terrorism activity and kidnappings and stuff like that. So I said, oh my God, what the hell, where am I going? What am I getting into? You know? So I contacted my wife and I said, where am I going? And she said, oh, it's okay. That's only like a couple of 100 kilometers from where I live. There's no issues where I live. It's mostly Catholic here and no such thing as kidnapping. So I got to tell you, the first time I came, I was a little bit worried about where I was going to end up and how things were going to pan out. And I went fine the first time, but the second time I was in Mindanao for a couple months, I actually got followed after being there. You know, after they see a foreigner for a while where there's no foreigners living in that city, or maybe one or two, they start to ask questions to other people. What are you doing here? How do you make a living? You know, you can invest here, and so on and so forth. So me, I had some people that actually were asking questions from another city, and the driver was nice enough, the motorcycle driver, to tell me to be careful because these people he didn't know, and he said whenever you go to see your wife in the jungle driving 7 kilometers in a dirt road, they could kidnap you. So at that point, I made it a point to leave as soon as possible. I stayed there for another 3 days and left, and that's when I come back and live now in Dumaguete. And Dumaguete here, we're in Darwin, just outside a little bit, is great. There's no issues here with crime whatsoever. You don't stand out like you do in Mindanao, because in Mindanao your name is Joe. Everywhere you'll travel, you'll be saying, "Hey Joe." So you better get used to that new name they're going to give you.
Or cowboy. I know some Mindanao is, "Hey cowboy."
Hey, cowboy.
That's kind of a little derogatory. Just going to qualify this real quick. Not all of Mindanao is dangerous. Most of the metropolitan areas, except for western Mindanao, are fairly safe. Because everybody goes crazy when you say Mindanao is not safe.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you, Mario, for your time. Thank you for your insight. We're going to miss you. And we hope that... And he's going to some nice places after this. Some undisclosed locations, but trust me, they're pretty freaking nice. So I'm sure he'll do well. This is Mario, and this is Ned over My Philippine Dreams, and we'll see you next time.
Come to the Philippines and stay safe. Cheers.
Amen.
Bye-bye. Goodbye.
Bye-bye. Wacky.